Hey, what's up, everyone? So, I've just got back from an amazing family holiday in Greece. And I don't know about you, but whenever I seem to get away or have a break or just some time just to tune out of work for a minute, I find myself reading more, thinking more, listening to a few more podcasts. And I heard this amazing quote on a Chris Williamson podcast. It goes something like, "You've already achieved the things that you used to say would make you happy." And for me, that was literally like a punch in the gut because I was like, yep, if you're an entrepreneur or a creative or, that kind of person, I think it's so easy to just set yourself these kind of dream goals and then you achieve it. And then within a few months, you've already kind of like normalized it. And I had this like years ago when I look back when I was younger, my absolute pinnacle dream was like one day I want to own a house and in that I would love to have like my own little recording studio or a space, just like a cabin at the end of the garden or whatever it is. And we actually managed to achieve that like when we bought our first house. And me and Megan bought like a little terrace house just in town, and we had a pretty small garden, but it was long enough that at the end of it, I could build a cabin and have a little studio. And looking back, it was amazing how quick that just became like my normal. That was once my absolute pinnacle dream. Like, imagine if I owned a place I could just do music and just like have guitars and stuff like that. And you normalize it so fast. So I said to myself at the beginning of this year, I'm going to try to make a conscious effort to move away from constantly thinking of like the money side of stuff, the material side of stuff, and shift into focusing on my kind of mindset and the memories, and just to prioritize actually living a good life. So rather than think about the things, think about what my day should look like and what I want to achieve. So anyway, if you are new around here or it's your first time tuning in, hi, I'm Sam Boxell. I am an entrepreneur, business owner, and over the past decade, I've managed to build a portfolio of companies that now do over £2.5 million a year, which, as you can tell by the little pause there, still blows my mind today. I'm definitely no kind of like, YouTube guru kind of person. I'm just here doing these videos because I thought it'd be really cool to share some of what I've learned and also document my journey going forward. I really came up on YouTube. Like, I learned a lot from different YouTubers, whether it be like marketing skills from people like Ben Heath or finance stuff from Graham Stephan. And I guess my kind of mission now is just, I would love to be able to help other business owners, entrepreneurs, just reclaim some of their time and start to build a life on their terms. So anyway, let's dive in. I've written this out as a list of points because I just think it's easier just to go through them one by one rather than me just telling you a bunch of stuff that, I've sort of done this year so far. So kicking it off, the first one is I kind of shifted my mindset from money focused to lifestyle focused. Now, that might not sound like a huge change, but it's been absolutely massive. For one, not focusing on money has made me more money, which shock. Like, every area in life, right, this plays out, right? Whether it's girls, money, whatever it is, if you are desperate for it or you want it or you're focused on it, it never happens, does it? It always comes when you least expect it, right? When you're not paying attention. So even though I've been focused on lifestyle, and when I say focus on lifestyle, I mean doing things like my second point here, which is planning my week meticulously, thinking about what I want my dream day to look like. I think people often don't realize how close they actually are to having their dream life. A great example for this is a friend of mine who I was chatting through like what his actual dream week would look like. Because so many people just jump and just say, oh, I want enough money, I want to be financially free, and I just want to not have to work and blah, blah, blah. But like, that's just not what life's about, right? Work is fun. Work should be fun. And especially if you're a man, you should want to like hustle and provide, and like it's part of the game of life, right? So for that particular person, working 5 days a week, shift pattern kind of thing. And the dream actually was just like, oh, it'd be cool if I could just, maybe go away a few more times a month, like with my wife, and have a bit more flexibility in terms of like, I'd love a day off a week. Maybe I could start a side hustle or something. And before you know it, we discussed a few things, and it was like, okay, so actually all you need to do is work 2 days a week less. But you're thinking about starting a side hustle, so you'll probably make up the income anyway, right? And yeah, it's kind of like, these tiny little steps and actually writing it out, like write out, what do you want your days to look like? What's a good week for you? What's a perfect week? And then every week trying to make that a reality. And I've started doing that, and that's been really cool. I write down, I'm very meticulous. I'll put a little calendar thing here. This is a screenshot of my calendar, right? So I have my Google Calendar, and we have obviously one-off events and appointments and things like that are in there, and meetings. But the main blocks, right, are what I want to do when I want to do it. So it's certain types of work that I've learned over the years that, like, I'm better if I do it at certain times. Some of it's like gym sessions and all that sort of stuff. And then every day, like the night before the day, I write down the bullet points of what I need to achieve in those time blocks. It's that simple. And it means that I'm just pumped every day. Like, I'm waking up and I'm like, it's going to be a good day. There's no choice. I've planned it. It's my day. I chose what I'm going to do. Now, I appreciate if you're in a job and that kind of stuff, working with someone else, maybe it's not as simple as like you can just do whatever you want, but you do have control to a certain extent of how you perceive the use of your time, right? So you can be excited about what you're doing by structuring it well and making it work for you, making it enjoyable, gamifying it, putting breaks in the right places. Like, there's a way to make it cool, and also a way to stay on top of it so that you've got like your free time and stuff to get pumped for. So yeah, I think taking control of your time and your mindset has been like a huge one. To figure some of that out, another one is, at the beginning of the year, I read a book called 5 Types of Wealth. And in there, he speaks about a life raiser. And this was something I'd never really thought of before. But essentially, it's like, who are you? Who do you want to be? And I think this ties in really well with, what do you want your perfect day or week to look like? Because this is like, well, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be perceived as, right? It's no good having a goal saying like, oh, I want to get in shape, but you don't want to be the type of person who goes to the gym every day. So I'll grab mine, right? So you guys can get an example. So my life raiser, here we go. My purpose is to build, improve, learn, and inspire, balancing family, health, relationships, and business to carve a life I'm proud of. I want to share my passion for progress with others and help them achieve their dream lives. And I want to build respect, so I'm an authority in the business space. I'm a source of reliability for my friends and family. When I say I'll do something, I do it. I'm dependable and consistent. I do hard things. I make big money. I look after myself physically and mentally so I can show up better for those around me. So there you go. I think putting that pen to paper and writing that out can give you like a lot of solace. For me, like, it's really easy when you've got a family to think going to the gym seems like a selfish act or something. Like, you're not spending time with them, you're going off to the gym. But actually, when you write it down, it's like, well, no, what use am I out of shape? What use am I if I'm not hustling and making good money so we can live the life we want? What's the point in me being fat, broke, and miserable? That's what I was 10 years ago. Like, now I want to be, ripped, rich, and happy. I couldn't think of a happy beginning with R off the top of my head, but you see my point. Okay, following on from that, I've shifted my whole mindset from material to memories. This was inspired by another book called Die with Zero. And in there, he talks about memory dividends. Now, if you're into investing, or maybe you run a business, you'll know about dividends, obviously taking profits from a company. And essentially, you're investing and then you're reaping a reward, right? I'd never really thought about it from a perspective of like a memory dividend. So if you do something, if you have an experience, if you do something with your friends, your family, or something yourself, you have that memory for the rest of your life. And trust me, when you are old, and this is in the book as well, he talks about all of these older people who he had interviewed, the 80, 90, 100-year-old people who are like, have lost a lot of family and are maybe getting to that sort of lonelier stage of life. The most valuable thing they have is their memories. They're looking back. They're thinking about, that trip I did with the boys, that holiday we went on. I remember when we traveled here and we did this. That's all you have left at the end of it, right? Doesn't matter how much money you got. It's the memories. That's the cool stuff, isn't it? We sit around, you light a bonfire, you have a few beers, and what do you chat about? You chat about what you did, like what you guys did last year or 2 years ago or 10 years ago, or that time that this person did that. So memory dividends are just invaluable. So I've pretty much taken my spending from like all the material crap that I have bought, I'm like offloading it. I'm like, nah, just not interested anymore. So you see some Instagram with flashy watches and expensive cars. And don't get me wrong, I like nice stuff, right? I'm going to have some nice guitars. I'm going to drive a car that is decent. But having like racks of watches and ridiculous things, it's like, I just don't get it anymore. It doesn't click in my head. I'm like, no, I want memories. I want to have experiences. So I think that's a huge one. And that is a massive part of prioritizing a good life, in my opinion. All right, next up, I've ditched the idea of work-life balance. I just don't believe in it. It's a load of, doesn't exist. I spent years trying to find it, promising myself that I'd find this great balance where I could do stuff with family and then work and blah, blah, blah. And every year I was just let down. It just doesn't exist, especially in the digital world. It's all about work-life integration. I can be anywhere in the world really and do 95% of my work. I can take a day off and go out with the kids last minute because guess what? I can work in the evenings. It doesn't matter. Now, I know not everyone can do this. I appreciate it is a benefit of being an entrepreneur, of running a business, of whatever. But most people nowadays do have like some work from home or some flexibility, or maybe even you just work for a business where it is all remote. And if you do have control of your time, you do have the ability to do this to a certain extent. Now, it doesn't have to be as far as what I'm saying, but it is about integrating work and life. It's not got to be this black and white, complete like shift. I think you have to integrate the two, and for me, since adopting that mindset, it's been a lot better. Now we're going to flip that whole thing on its head completely, integrating and blurring the lines to work hard, play hard. Got to be like the most old school saying ever. I just imagine some guy from the 80s with like a huge mustache saying like work hard, play hard. But I think this is something that I've been missing for a little while now. I've been working and hustling and doing my thing and not like giving myself enough grace when it comes to just having some time off or like doing certain things, right? So now, I think, by the way, with that is because you're never sort of like aiming for, oh, I've got this time off here, then you can let the work creep a little bit and take longer than it needs to. So there is something to be said for like having weekdays and a weekend, because you got to get it done for the weekend because you want a chill weekend. Now, I'm not quite like that. I'm a little bit more on a day-to-day basis. I'm like, I'm going to get up at 6, work my butt off because I want to go to a gym at 1 and I'm not working after that. So it's like things like that. But yeah, I'm really focused on that. Like, I'm working hard, but then when I'm playing hard. I just said it a second ago, and it ties into my very last point here, which is giving myself a little bit more grace. So I found over the years that it's very easy to make yourself a lot of promises that maybe you just know you can't keep. So for example, right, it's no good me saying, oh, I'm going to get to 5% body fat, and then I'm just disappointed because I haven't hit the target, because I was never going to, right? Because it's not my key priority. I've got a lot going on. I want to be a good dad. I want to be in good shape. I want to be making money and growing my businesses. And I can't do all of it and then expect to like absolutely excel in one of those areas. So setting reasonable targets, not making promises to myself that I can't keep. And then regardless of all of that, just looking back and realizing, well, you might not have achieved this, but look at what you have achieved. You've done this, 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 and this, and this. And just giving yourself a little bit more grace just to be like, cool, we've made some progress. Let's go again tomorrow. So yeah, listen, guys, I hope that's been really helpful. I know that's a lot more sort of philosophical and, mindset based maybe than like the sort of typical business stuff you were probably expecting me to chat about here. But I think it all starts with your mindset. And for me, the upgrades I've made in mindset have always resulted in the biggest upgrades for me financially and just happiness and lifestyle wise as well. So yeah, if you're new, do make sure to hit subscribe, drop a comment if you have any questions or if I can help with anything. If you want to chat, then please do feel free. You can sign up for my newsletter, and there's always stuff in there that you can reply to, but then you can also check me out on Instagram and drop me a DM there. Like I said, I'm just here to chit chat through business stuff and document the journey going forward. I'll see you in the next one.